Well, good evening, all. Here we are on a Sunday evening. Kind of sunny outside. So hope everybody had a good weekend. All ready for another day of work, fun, and frivolities. As I said, today we're kind of at a crossroads. If you listen to what our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been saying um, over the last few weeks, or well, what he hasn't been saying, and then what he said, about the groping incident, handling, whatever you call it, and how he's backpedaled himself from lecturing us to saying it didn't happen, then to switching it around, saying that we need to learn a lesson from his mistake, I guess. Uh, little bit different, I guess. If you're a narcissist or a little psychotic, I guess you could look at it that way. Um, I don't know. I really don't know about the sanity of that man. I mean, in all honesty, um, you know, the way I look at it is we got, the enemy is at the gates, and how are we going to meet them? I'll read. For many years, some have pondered at the values of entering into a confederation and remaining under its slanted framework. For many, the value comes from control, whereas Central Canada has and always will be the center for power, while holding us in the West under subjugation. Now, you look at what's going on here with the pipeline, or the pipelines, our mining industry, the forestry. Um, I guess would be more to the point of what's not happening is we are a country of people with a lot of resources. We are blessed. Now, when's the last time we've had a mine open here? I mean, like a mine. I'm talking about good paying jobs. When's the last time we had a pipeline go through? A major one. I mean, yeah, they bought a $4.5 billion pipeline. They haven't laid a pipe yet, so we can't count that other than it's down, down the hole. We $4.5 billion thrown out the window. Anytime government runs it, it's going to be bad, and that's all done against our wishes. Now, I usually don't talk lightly about separation, and I really haven't talked about separation before, but I'm starting to see more and more where it's getting to the point where it's pointless to actually stay in Canada as a whole. I mean, right now we've got what, 38 million people, I believe, in Canada. We got a lot of country. Um, Most of the people live in high population areas, Vancouver, Toronto, places like that, Edmonton, Calgary, Regina, except, all the capital cities. Now, for us out west here, it comes that we want to self-determine ourselves. Um, and you look at it under the illusion of hope, we have to shut our eyes against a painful truth. The truth that we do not hold our own future or liberty, which is the true grand illusion, which basically is that's true. I mean, it's a grand illusion. I mean, what does it really mean to be Canadian? And especially under this prime minister, I mean, it's changed and it will never be the same. No matter who gets in, the narratives change. It's like a grand illusion. What is being Canadian? What is it? I mean, what are we doing to be Canadian? And I mean, the reason I'm asking it because I can't I can't in all good conscience see it. We were a great country. We were headed. We had all the potential to be great. Now we got sidetracked where it's like Trudeau was resting on the laurels of all of our hard work and all of the past ministers and government's hard work to get us to where we were, to become an economic force in the world, to become a resource. It it's like that's gone. It's just like it's this grand illusion. It's not there anymore. So what do we do? And I really don't see under a central government um, where it does us any good to stay together as a country. And I'm talking about a split from, wherever. I mean, if that means BC or Alberta, BC, or, you know, go, then so be it. But I think that's going to be inevitable. Um, as it goes along, and it's not going to happen overnight, but as it goes along, I mean, there was talk of separation, obviously in Quebec, we had the Reform Party who was talking about, Western Canada, and that kind of went political mainstream, got watered down into the Conservatives, and, you know, and I'm not taking away what Harper did. I mean, I didn't like some of the things he did, but, I don't think he weakened the country as Trudeau's been doing the last 3 years. And God forbid we get another year of him left. So, in a year, what is going to be left of a semblance? I mean, we've got some major issues with immigration coming in. We've got nobody, we've got people coming into this country. Our prime minister said we've got no values there. We've got no identity as Canada. So, and that comes from our prime minister. And that's what he's projecting to the world. This is what people coming here are seeing. This isn't my objective. This isn't what I see. This is what he's telling people. So when they come here, they've already got this preconceived notion. They can bring their world with them and never have to change. We can speak our language, we can practice our customs, we can change the rules. So, we're more like back home, which brings the case, why did you leave in the first place? But hey, we got, that's a total separate argument. So what do we do with that? How do we go about separating? And I mean honestly, not like Quebec where, basically they jump up and down until they get billions of dollars given to them and then it keeps them quiet, but there's still that background noise, there's all that threat, you better do what we want or we're going to threaten to separate, we got the Parti Québécois, that'll be, that's always behind there. That's our ace in the hole, that's our bargaining chip. And yeah, that's it. I mean, good for them. That's what they feel. I don't think they'll ever separate personally. I just think it's a way to extort money out of the rest of us personally. Um, I'm sure they'll, you know, spin it a lot differently than I just did, but, in the crux of it, that's all it is. So, and I'm not disrespecting it. I got, a lot of respect for the history of that the province. It is what it is. Um, we've got some huge issues here. I mean, our taxation system is gone to hell. Our healthcare system. I mean, you spin it however you want. It's broken. Okay, like, yeah, it's great. Yeah, we're better than we're better than, and I always like that excuse. We are better than. Okay, so does that mean we stop striving to be the best and keep improving, or we just look like, yeah, we're better than Ethiopia, so we're good? And what the hell does that mean? Like that, it's a mute argument. It doesn't get us anywhere. We're not advancing. You hear with this carbon tax, which is another issue. I mean, it's total bullshit. You can slice and dice it. A tax has never fixed anything. What has a tax ever fixed? Certainly hasn't fixed anything in this country other than give the government more money to spend on their little pet projects, which I happen to have, and a lot of other people happen to have some major issues with. So I read you something here I wrote earlier. I am guided by the principles of that freedom and of liberty to be free to the view that these freedoms should be ours to be determined and recognized as individual state of and with our own constitution, meaning that we separate, we set this out, whatever that may be. We were talking today, interestingly enough, I was watching one of the reporters talking about immigration, saying, like we should be bringing in more because we've got all this land and there's only 38 million people in Canada. And look at all the land we got. And I thought, well, you're right. We do got a lot of land and 38 million people is not that many. But under the federal government, you take a look at all the crown land we have here. try buying it. Um, right now, basically, we are forced into small centers like Vancouver, for instance. You know, if you want where you're forced here because you can't really buy any land. You know, there's and I mean, don't take my word for it. Go look at a map and check it out. Check all the crown land out, all the parks we have set out. I mean, hundreds and thousands of hectares of land sitting there. You know, not even in parks. So here we are. We can't go out and buy it because it belongs to the crown, which you and I are paying for. Uh, so we're forced to come in here, pay like here. I think now like $1 million for a house here. Most people cannot afford that, so most people are forced to rent. So there you go. You're spending on average, I believe here now it's $1,000 a month at least just for rent, and that doesn't get you a great place. So, and that's forced. That's forced by government because they're not releasing land. Now, what I propose is if one separates, and I'm not saying that's a long. It's not a short process. You don't just say we're seceding, goodbye. There's a lot that has to be done. A constitution for one, Bill of Rights, what freedoms, basically what we believe in. I mean, just like the United States set up, during the Revolutionary War. So basically, going back to the land, I believe it is our inherent right as Canadian citizens to be able to own the land. And I think it's a crime and a travesty that we have this much land here and we're not eligible to buy it. I mean, try to go out and buy crown land. I mean, I mean, take a real, go have a hard look at it and see. It's next to impossible to buy, unless you're rich. And when they do dispose of crown land, they turn it over to real estate agents, the guys that are worse than lawyers, for fair market value, which is to me just totally ludicrous, because those guys are bigger crooks than the lawyers are. So where does that leave us? So you and I will never, unless we happen to save up a lot of money, go out and buy some land. You can't do that anymore like it used to be back, when they were giving land away to try to get people here. So why don't we have it like, and I use Alaska as an example. They've got a state land auction, and that's in their constitution of Alaska, where you can actually, as a resident of the state, you are eligible to go in and buy land auction because the state is only allowed to have so much land in their inventory. So it's got to be turned over to auction to go to the private people who are residents. The thought being is that residents of a country who actually own part of the country are going to be far better citizens than the ones that are forced to rent. I mean, really, if you're here and you don't really own anything, um, not much incentive there other than to live day to day. Maybe some people are fine with that. I'm not, and I know many people are not. And that, to me, that's huge. And I mean, with all this land here, I'm not saying we go out and everybody buy thousands of acres and we just have a rape and pillage. I mean, we've got to do it intelligently. And you take a look at what they did in Alaska, and I'm just using Alaska because I know it well, um, for how they run their program, and it's a state lands auction. Um, if we were to do something like that and actually give the families, people like us, chance to own land, to go out and start, you know, at least give it, we have the opportunity to. Not saying maybe guys don't want to. That's fine. If you don't want, you don't want. Maybe you're happy in the city. That's great, But it will take a lot of pressure off the real estate, where you're not having to pay $1 million for land. You're actually able to go out and buy your own property. You're actually able to go out and start, build your own home on your property, drill your own water well, become somewhat self-sufficient, take some pride in what you're doing. Yes, my country allowed me to do this. And in Canada, I don't believe we're ever going to be able to do it. That comes from separation. I believe that is the only way we're going to be able to do it. That is just my opinion. Hopefully we can advance that. But the Constitution, I mean, that's up to whoever decides, sitting on that to decide What's going to be in the Constitution? What values do we hold that we're missing here? I mean, are we beholden to the crown still, to the queen? And that I'm not saying, I'm not dictating. Our taxes. We can add, your Constitution dictates how much taxes you bring in. Your environmental standards, your job rate. Your exploration, your mining, your big industries here, where you're giving people a chance to actually get ahead and thrive, and not sit here and be a forced audience, moved like cattle into certain areas because you can't touch the rest of the place. And to me, that's just wrong. I mean, that's not a free country. I, I don't believe it is. And more and more in Canada, we're seeing less and less of that. Our freedoms, we're losing them. So we could hit on the Constitution, on taxation. The government will never be able to tax you over, let's say, I'm going to use flat rate 10%. We set the baseline. This is the way it will be. This is how it will be set up. This is how we will use our resources. This is how our local governments will be set up. However, we decide, that would be for us to decide. That is a very important thing, because our Canadian Constitution, quite honestly, I don't know about anybody else, I'm not really overly impressed with it. Really doesn't set out a lot of values or rights for us, the people. I mean, the government seems to be really well at taking care of themselves. They've done so for 151 years here. So that will not end unless we split apart. And I don't mean just say split apart just for the sake of getting more money out of Ottawa, which is basically getting our own money back to whoever, to some government official here in one of the provinces to disseminate, and we're still in the same spot. No, but to start over and actually say, okay, this is what we would like to do with the country. This is what we, as the founding people, this is what we believe as a constitution, our freedoms and our rights, and something we'd be proud to do to hold the country together, whatever that may be. And I would be interested in to hear what other people say. And I'm just touching on a few of the things. I mean, there's a pretty broad aspect of what we can do, but I think it's worth looking into and talking about. And yeah, maybe it's call me a not a patriot, call me a non-Canadian. It is what it is. I mean, personally, I'm with what's going on lately. I'm fed up. I'm really tired, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. And I would like to see a lot of other people start talking about this at the very least, and see where we go, see what we come up with. We've got some pretty brilliant people. Maybe they didn't go to university and all that, but we got some pretty smart folks out there. So let's see what we can come up with, talk about it, see where we can go. Anyways, put a comment in the bottom. Let me know what you think. Write